Good morning, YouTube. So yeah, my first vlog had a few people comment on it. I thought, what the hell? I'll go ahead and do it again today. It's Friday morning, and this is my long driving day. Got all the kids. I got to drive around and get them to school before I could actually head to work. But yeah, so I'm actually driving to work again today. It's currently 30 degrees outside, which, you know, most people think that depending on where you live in the world, 30 degrees is actually kind of cold. But yeah, I've lived in Colorado my entire life. I spent like 3 months in Phoenix, Arizona, and that's just way too hot. Because I've been in Colorado my whole life, so you know, anything over 80 degrees is just hot. So reviewing my video yesterday, man, the truck that I drive a Dodge 1500. It was bouncing the camera all over the place. So I apologize for that. I'm recording off my cell phone. So yeah, do what I can. This time I won't actually rest my arm on the armrest, so hopefully it's a little bit less shaky for you guys. But I appreciate you guys checking out my video yesterday. It was kind of cool to actually see some responses and some comments going back and forth, so that was kind of cool. But okay, so for today I kind of wanted to talk about some of my interests and the things that I kind of obsess about. And I'm way into like the end of the world shit. It's not like I'm a prepper by any means, but I love kind of fantasizing about the world ending and how we would like survive as a people. And, you know, doing research, there's no way any human would survive. Because, you know, one of the big things that everybody's freaking out about is like EMPs and taking down the grid and we losing power and all that. So I've actually done some research on nuclear power stations, and in the event of the world losing power, all of these nuclear power plants would self-destruct. And if you can imagine, you know, we've had the couple of nuclear plants go critical, you know, like Chernobyl and the one in Nakasumi, I think it was called. We actually were able to contain that, you know, within a few days, obviously, a couple of weeks, whatever. And the devastation that those simply caused, we're going to have effects for, you know, 20, 30 years easy. You know, Chernobyl, they put that concrete building around it and metal and all that, and all these people died from exposure and all this stuff. And, you know, it's horrible that with that simple catastrophe, so many people dedicated and lost their lives to try to save everybody else. In the event of the end of the world and us losing power forever, there's so many nuclear plants around the world that would go critical because there's no way to stop it. Man, it's horrible because these nuclear rods that they use to power nuclear plants, you can't just shut off the power to them, because basically you need cold running water to keep these things from melting down. And without power itself, you know, these nuclear plants, if there was not a person maintaining the facility, you know, the facility could maintain itself for, I think people said it was like 6 months without anyone flipping a switch. They would only run for about 6 months off their own power and stuff. But it takes so much human interaction to keep these things running without human interaction, these things would go nuclear. All around the world, there's like 900 of these fucking things. Could you imagine all the radiation pollution that these things would give off with no one ever, trying to fix it after it went nuclear? Man, it would wipe out civilizations everywhere for hundreds of years. And we've got like caverns and shit that they put these old fuel cells in that, they're contaminated caverns, and these fuel rods will, contaminate the world and their caverns for generations, hundreds and thousands of years and shit. But anyway, so, it would be horrible. But on the other side, if you take that equation out of everything, I really get into the end of the world stuff. I watch doomsday bunkers and all these preppers, and they're freaking out and buying all this stuff. I can't say that I'm a prepper by any means, because there's no way I'm going to go that psychotic and, start stocking up. Call me a fool or whatever. But I've got to think about how crazy it would be to even think of how much storage you would have to have. And, we've lived in a society that you would think that, okay, yeah, end of the world, I'll just go hunting and I'll feed my family and blah, blah, blah. It's not that easy, man. Because, okay, let's say you kill an animal, let's say a deer, 80 pounds of meat. How are you going to keep it? You can't refrigerate it. You can only keep the meat edible for so long. And with the 8 million people that are in the world right now, even the animals, once everyone starts hunting and gathering food and berries and blah, 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 dude, our food storages are going to dwindle so quick. Our natural resources, we will eat up every animal out there in the world within like a year. If you're considering that, the world didn't go nuclear, the 8 million people in the world, or 8 billion or whatever the fucking number is, I don't really care to know the right number. But anyway, we would eat every living animal to try to survive, to maintain our own lives, our own family and shit. We would eat us out of house and home. There's no doubt about it. So, but yeah, so, I get into all that. I play video games that are talking about end of the world, and, I play a game called Infestations about zombies taking over the world, and that wouldn't happen, obviously. And you guys got to bear with me with my camera. I'm not actually resting my arm this time, so it's not as shaky for you. But, so yeah, my camera doesn't act. I'm using my phone, so of course the camera's going to be a little bit weird. But, yeah. So, let's see here. I'm still driving, so I'm losing train of thought. I can't multitask very well. But anyway, so yeah, watching all these shows on TV and stuff. I don't actually have cable, which is actually a growing trend. Well, my family uses a program called Roku. It's a device that you can buy, and it just gives you an options of movie channels and Netflix and stuff like that. And it saves us quite a bit of money. But after running Roku for, I don't know, almost 2 years now, we're getting pretty desperate on shows. We've seen every show so many times, especially TV sitcoms. My family, we watch a lot of The 70s Show and The Office. We've probably seen every series, probably 100 times. But yeah, there's even a program called Eden that I started watching, and it's about a group of people that give up a year of their lives to go live in a secured area that movie producers have set up with basic minimums. There's no power. The people can create power if they give enough effort. There's power on the property, but it's not wired to all the buildings and stuff. So they've actually got money that they can go to a store if they decide, or whatever. There's a lake, there's a barn, there's all kinds of stuff for minimum living. They can start growing food and blah blah blah, which the idea is really cool, but it gets into the social aspects of living with strangers. And in the end of the world type apocalypse, I think that's going to be the toughest part of it, is dealing with all the other people. I like people. I get along with people pretty well. But when it comes down to you're fighting for everything individually to keep yourself alive and your family, everybody has their own views on how things should be handled. And of course, in eating, there is no government yet. They have this group of people have to decide what kind of government they want to start. There is no rules. There's no democracy. There's no rulers or kings or anything like that at this point in the show. So it's total almost anarchy for the most part. There's no stealing or anything at this point. But it's a group of, let's say, 8 to 10 people, and I've only watched like an episode or two. But if you take that wide and just think of, okay, end of the world, if this actually happened, everybody would be fighting over the same thing, animals and hunting, and it would become a war just for the hunters out in the forest killing or tracking the same animal. One person kills it, you're going to have 4 or 5 people try to take that meat from you, even trying to get it back to your camp or your town or whatever. It's going to be a flat-out war. Everyone's going to be fighting over the same thing. Because especially animals, whatever you kill, trying to actually get it back to where you could eat it, I think would be insane. The roads here. I was actually watching my video yesterday, and God, talking about the camera shaking so much. These roads are just horrible, and my suspension on my truck doesn't do me very well. I mean, it's a truck, it does bounce around a lot, but it doesn't do well for filming, but whatever. So yeah, those are kind of my ideas. Of course, I've gone through the extent of drawing some ideas of bunkers and shit like that. Oh, doomsday bunkers, or underground bunkers and shit like that. Those are so cool. If I had the money and my family didn't put me in an insane asylum thinking that I'm losing my mind, I would absolutely buy into bunkers and storage and prepping and all that. Because the idea is just fun to think about and dream about and fantasize and shit. I'm lame. But, whatever. So, yeah, those are my thoughts for today. Hope you guys liked it. Have a good one. See ya.